Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Be Strong Group's Tuesday chat. I am Brenda Green, founder and CEO of the Be Strong Group. My husband and I founded in honor of our son, Braden, who has sickle cell disease. And we are here tonight as a part of our Tuesday chat because we felt that we wanted to share different topics with our community that are important to those with sickle cell disease. And to their caregivers. And a lot of times, and most recent, a lot of the topics that we've discussed is applicable to just about anybody. So, and tonight is no different. And tonight we will be speaking with Briana Wright. She is a program specialist with Brooks Rehabilitation. She will be speaking to us about the roles that nutrition as well as exercise play with those with the chronic illness. So, and I want you to know that everything we discuss tonight is for your educational purposes, and anything that's specific to you or to your child, we ask that you check with your primary care physician before implementing in your lifestyle. So, without further ado, let's welcome Briana Wright. Like I said, program specialist with Brooks Rehabilitation. Hey, Briana,
Hello.
how are you tonight?
Good.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And I'm going to let you share a little bit more about yourself, uh, what you're doing now, what you want to share with the followers, and then end with your special connection with sickle cell disease.
Okay. My name is Briana Wright. I am actually from South Carolina. I went to Ryan University. I graduated in 2017 with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science and a Spanish minor. While there, I was a competitive swimmer. I've been swimming since age 6, so for a very long time.
Yeah.
I swam collegiately throughout my time there. And then I ended up moving to Florida. So I'm currently in Jacksonville, Florida. I am finishing up my master's degree in exercise science and chronic disease. So I'll be graduating in December. So close. And I'm currently working as a program specialist with Brooks Rehab. I primarily work with patients of stroke, Parkinson's, and traumatic brain injuries. And I help them kind of navigate through that area of rehabbing and being able to do exercise goals on their own, help them with balance, with strength, endurance, and agility. So those are my primary roles with them, and I just kind of help navigate anything that they really need. And my connection with sickle cell is that I actually was introduced to sickle cell through my little brother. He was diagnosed early on, and that's how I started becoming interested in sickle cell. And throughout undergrad and my graduate degree, I started looking more into research about sickle cell and just really trying to understand what exercise has to do with it, what nutrition has to do with it, any type of treatment. So a lot of research ideas have been coming from that connection there.
Okay. And Briana didn't identify her little brother, but her little brother is Braden Green, and who is our inspiration behind the Be Strong group. And so, yes, that she's my daughter, and I'm proud to have her on to talk about an important topic for us today. And Briana, do you want to just go ahead and get started? What do you have for us?
Yes. So the first topic I'm going to talk about deals with nutrition. So we know that food is a substance that provides energy and provides essential nutrients we need to survive. But food is not just simple food. There are two different components of it. It provides macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are important for maintaining the body's structure and its systems. And it's broken out into carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, which is something we hear about, but we may not necessarily know the important role that it plays. So carbohydrates, they are considered to be our primary fuel source. They provide the energy needed for brain function, for kidneys, heart muscles, and your central nervous system. So they play a pretty big role in just our day-to-day function. We know that you are deficient in carbohydrates if you tend to have headaches. Sometimes you'll feel fatigue. You can have difficulty concentrating. You may have constipation, or you'll find that you have vitamin and mineral deficiencies. And another symptom of a carbohydrate deficiency is actually bad breath. So I know a lot of diets, sometimes they focus on limiting carbs. It's okay to do in moderation, but you definitely want to be careful about having little to no carbs in your diet day to day for extended period of time. So some sources of carbs can be found in whole grains, starchy vegetables, fruit, milk, and nuts. Those are all good sources of carbs that you should be having in your diet pretty regularly. The second part of that would be proteins. Proteins provide structure to tissue in our body, which contains organs, your cell membrane, bones, tendons, and your blood plasma. And proteins also are involved in metabolic, hormonal, and enzyme systems, which is very, very important, especially in sickle cell patients, thus maintaining all those systems to be working properly. When we are deficient in proteins, we can see that in edema. You can see it in having a fatty liver. You can see it affect your skin, your hair, and your nails. You often will find that like your nails will be brittle, your hair will be brittle. You may develop like a scaly rash on your skin. You will also experience a loss of muscle mass, and you can have an impaired immune system, which is something that when you're already having a compromised chronic illness, you don't want to have, that even more impaired immune system from a deficiency. Some sources of proteins include beans, nuts, meat, poultry, seafood, and soy products. One thing to think about with proteins is all meats are not good meats. So you do want to avoid your processed meats like our beloved bacon, our hot dogs, which my brother is a huge fan of hot dogs, and lunch meats. Those are all things that you typically want to try to limit in our diets, which for kids, those are all the things that they love the most. So that's very difficult sometimes to try to manage, but we do want to try to manage out some of that negative protein. And then the last part of our macronutrients will be our fat source. This is important for energy reserve, insulation, and protection of all of our organs in our body. And fat is also useful for the fat-soluble vitamins, which are essential for our body. Any type of deficiency of fat can lead to dermatitis. You will see also dry and scaly rashes across the body. You may see slow wound healing. You may see hair loss, and you may see an increase of frequent illnesses. Some healthy sources of fats, because all fat is not good fat. Some healthy sources include olive oil, avocados are good, any type of vegetable oil, canola, peanut oil, anything like that is also good. And then you have nuts, seeds, and then any type of fatty fish or fish oil is also a good source. Our next part that we're going to talk about are the micronutrients. Macronutrients contain vitamins, minerals, and water. Those are all very essential for our body and are found in most of the things that we eat, but we do want to make sure that we're having a good variety of foods, a lot of colors in our diet to ensure that we are getting all of our micronutrients. And then some of the essential vitamins are iron, vitamin A, vitamin D, iodine, folate, and zinc. Some things that are with nutrition in sickle cell patients specifically. It is that some research has suggested that sickle cell patients, they suffer from undernutrition and that they have micro and macronutrient deficiencies. And some studies have supported that an increase in protein, so having a high protein diet, and involving a supplement called L-arginine, which is basically it's an amino acid that helps the body produce protein. It can be found over the counter, and it's just a vitamin, kind of like how you find your B12, your iron supplements. It's just like that, but it has been led to positive effects in the body, such as decrease in inflammation, muscle function, and improved blood flow. But before taking any type of supplements, I just recommend you talking to your doctor, talking to a nutritionist or a dietitian, just to make sure that those supplements are best for your child or best for you. Some studies have also shown that those with sickle cell, specifically children and teens, have a higher requirements of protein and energy need due to having about a 10 to 20% higher resting energy expenditure, which is more than your average. So when you're in school and they're talking about, the food pyramid, sometimes that's not relevant for your child because your child may need more, or you may need more than the average person. So just making sure that you understand what your needs are. And you can actually find this through any type of indirect calorimetry. And this can be done. Some doctor's office can do it. You can go to a nutritionist or a dietitian and they can do that. I've actually had that done for me. Little story, when I was a freshman in undergrad, from the beginning of my swim season to the end of my swim season, I lost 10 pounds from the fall. I think it was like September to about January. I lost 10 pounds. And I went to see a nutritionist at our school, and we did the indirect calorimeter. And we found that I had an abnormal high need for of energy expenditure compared to others that are my size and have my body type. And she found out that, I'm not taking in as many calories as I need to. And so from there, we're able to realize, like, okay, I need to be eating something. I need to be eating high fats and increase my proteins. About every 2 to 3 hours, I needed to have some type of snack. So I needed to snack on sunflower seeds, which is good and fatty, healthy fats. And I needed to drink more chocolate milk, which is a good ratio of protein and carbs. And just needed like more nuts and stuff in my diet, which actually kind of helped manage that weight going in between my competitive seasons. So it's important to understand your personal needs and your child's needs.
And I'm sorry, Briana, what is that? That's a
indirect calorimetry. So you got that?
Yep.
All right. And they also have direct. They have a direct version as well. But the indirect will be a little easier to access and to get that tested. Direct is a lot more involved. So indirect will do the trick.
Okay.
So there are some studies, some research that show decreased levels of macro minerals. As we often see, iron is something that is often decreased in those with sickle cell. However, in the U.S., it's a lot more manageable to manage the iron content compared to those in less developed countries. So they're not too worried about iron. However, zinc is something that they have found to be an issue in those with sickle cell disease. And zinc can lead to immune dysfunction. It can lead to decreased wound healing, and it can lead to slow sexual maturation. So that's something that you want to be managing those zinc levels. Magnesium is also something that they have been found to be decreased, in which low levels have been linked to actually increase sickling. So, that's something that you kind of want to keep an eye on. When your magnesium levels are high, when they're at a good level, they can actually help with red cell hydration, which is something that helps manage when those with sickle cell, when they get dehydrated. It can help alleviate some of those pain crises that they have with that. So it can actually help keep your hydration level to an acceptable level. And some other things that they found to be decreased are some antioxidant vitamins, which include A, C, and E. And then there's been some research saying that those with sickle cell are naturally deficient in vitamin D, but that's still kind of up in the air right now. And so next I was going to talk about some exercise, if that's okay.
That's fine. We do have one question.
Yes.
I know it says with hydration is important or is recommended, highly recommended every time we go to a doctor's appointment. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. But hydration is important and to those with sickle cell disease. And a lot of people, and I know a few in my head right now, do not like to drink a whole lot of water. And I've heard before, you can eat your water. Do you have some examples of some food that contains a high water content?
That is a good point. You can eat your water. You do not need to drink a ton of water all the time. I know, especially for kids, that can be very difficult. When I was talking to my nutritionist, I was drinking so much water, and I told her how much I was drinking. And she told me, she said, "You are drinking way too much." She said, actually, you can intake water throughout your diet, which I didn't know that. So some food that have high water content, a lot of your fruits and your vegetables, so cucumbers, tomatoes, watercress, which actually have very good health benefits with it. Apples, celery, lettuce, watermelon, peaches, strawberries. Those are some examples of things that you can implement into your diet that have a good high water content, and you don't have to necessarily be guzzling down bottles and bottles of water. So as long as you're having a nice healthy diet, you're pretty much going to be getting all the water intake that you need. But you do want to make sure that you're having fruits and vegetables in your diet, and that may help get some of those kids that just do not like water. You can kind of help them with that as well. And another thing that can help with water intake is flavoring your water. I've actually been drinking Zip Fizz. I would once again just ask your physician about Zip Fizz before implementing that into your diet or your child's diet, because it does contain caffeine. But it does have all of those vitamins and nutrients that I have discussed. Is packed with that, all healthy stuff, and it's very good. But it gives you that extra flavor so that it doesn't quite taste like water, so it helps.
Yeah, well, those are some good examples. I love water straight with no flavoring in it, but sometimes with Braden, you have to add the flavoring or help him eat his water. So watermelon is his favorite.
You can always add some add fruit. I know some people they're into the like fruit immersed water. Yeah. So you can actually do that with limes, lemon. A lot of research has shown that drinking that like first thing in the morning is very, very good for your metabolism. It helps kickstart that, and it helps fight just some chronic cases that you can get from that. So it's also another option.
Oh yeah, and you just reminded me smoothies as well. Mm-hmm. Smoothies as well, especially for those young people who don't like all the vegetables. You could sneak them in the smoothies, and
you never know.
Yeah, never know. So yeah, we got a comment. Love fruit water. So yeah, I just bought it. I bought an infuser. I didn't just buy it. I bought it a while ago to add fruit to the water to give it more of a natural flavor. That works. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Let's see. So we're going to switch our gears into exercise. So exercise, as we know, should be a part of everyone's lifestyle. However, it gets very difficult to implement that into our lifestyle. We get busy and we get tired and we're always on the go. So it's very hard to implement that, but it's very, very important. The research with exercise and sickle cell is still kind of up in the air. There is no specific prescription for sickle cell patients. A lot of my patients, like my stroke patients, my Parkinson's, MS, traumatic brain injuries, we have a lot of exercise prescriptions for them. But with sickle cell, the research is just starting to kind of look into that and to see the best exercise prescription for sickle cell patients. But we do have a rough outline of what is best for them at the moment. So for now, the general guideline is kind of broad, but something's better than nothing when it comes to working out, is aerobic and recreational exercises and activities of low intensity is very, very good for those with sickle cell. Brief episodes of high intensity exercises, they can be tolerated, but you have to be very, very careful. You have to be very hydrated. You have to be very in tune with being fatigued. So sports like soccer, baseball, things that you get those moments of high intensity, they can be tolerated with those with sickle cell, but you do have to be careful of the environment that you're in, and just making sure that they're properly hydrated and they have the proper nutrition. So the frequency, exercise is recommended to take part for at least 3 days a week, a minimum of 30 minutes. An hour is ideal, but a minimum of 30 minutes will see some of those positive effects start to take place. We do highly encourage participation in school or recreational activities. So, being involved in PE, being involved in a dance class, being involved in extracurricular sports, which is very good, not only for the exercise physical part, but just for that social aspect as well. I know during the time of COVID, that can be very difficult, but there are even some virtual activities, some virtual classes that you can join, and you can still have that physical and social aspect in there. One thing that we found with sickle cell patients is that they tend to have a decreased fitness level and decreased VO2 max level. VO2 max is basically just your oxygen intake. The more you work out, the higher your VO2 max level, and that tends to decrease just as you get older in general. But when you have a chronic illness, that also is impaired at a younger age. But the only way to increase that is to exercise. So we want to kind of combat that at a young age. So you really want to make sure that you're getting kids active, that you yourself are getting active. We start at a young age so that as you get older, you're not trying to make up for lost time. Research has found that regular exercise may improve immune function. And one thing that you do want to be careful about with intense exercise is that intense exercise in sickle cell patients can suppress immune function, and it can suppress immune function in general, even for if you don't have a chronic illness. High levels of exercise, high intensity for a long period of time can suppress that immune function, allow for you to trigger reduced blood flow, and it can trigger a pain crisis in a sickle cell patient. So you do have to be careful of that just intensity level. Stick to low to moderate intensity. For those of you who are maybe focused on weight loss, harder is not better. You do want to do low intensity because low to moderate intensity actually triggers into that fat fuel source that we talked about earlier. And higher intensity is going to trigger into the carbs fuel source. So that primary fuel source of carbs can be triggered the higher your intensity. So if you want to focus more on weight loss and you're focusing on losing fat, you really want to do longer, low to moderate intensity exercises for that. And then Another thing with sickle cell patients that we want to be careful of is our mode of exercise. So you have to think about, does your exercise involve a lot of jumping? Is it a contact sport? Is it going to be rough on the joints in the body? That's something you just want to be mindful of and kind of individualize that for each child, each participant, just to make sure that it's best for their specific needs and their body and what they're going through at that moment with their illness. But I do highly recommend aquatic exercise. Aquatic exercise is very good for range of motion. It has very low gravity, so it's stress-free on the body. It works cardiovascular system as well. And it just has all the right components of that. And do you have any questions or comments with modes of exercise or exercise in general?
Oh, none for the, this is one about the meals. So you want to answer this one? What are some good resources to find good meals to make for your children with both macro and micronutrients? If you want to go back to there, you want to take this
Yes.
later. Okay.
I can go back there. So some good resources. I honestly would just Google. There's a lot of I like to cook. I've started trying to cook more and cook healthier meals now. So what I've been doing is I just start Googling certain things that I'm interested in. So sometimes I do like a meatless meal. So I'll look up like vegetarian meals, or I'll look up healthy meals. And I just kind of go through and figure out like, okay, like I know I want vegetables involved. I know I want to stay away from the fried foods. And so that's kind of like the route that I take. They do have some apps that are available, but a lot of them cost money. So I just use the power of Google to kind of search and see exactly what kind of things I do like. I do try to stay away from those resources that are focused on a certain diet. I'm not a huge believer in diets. I just believe in, just being careful of how much you're eating. So moderation, I believe in moderation. So I try to avoid that, but I pretty much just plug in what I need in Google, and I mark down the different recipes that I find are helpful, that are healthy. I definitely look at labels when it comes to buying stuff in the grocery store. Learn to read labels is very, very important. Look at what is in your food, look at the content, look at the calories, look at the fats. Try to stay away from any trans fat altogether. Try to stay away from that. And saturated fat, you really want to limit that as well. So I do a lot of reading of the labels while I'm in the grocery stores. And then I try to be mindful of the recipes that I do pull up, just making sure that I incorporate some healthy components in there, or I'll substitute things out if they have something that I don't think would be quite right for me.
The reading of the labels, that's a good recommendation. I know I have to read the labels for multiple reasons because Braden does have a lot of food allergies. So we have to know what's in his food before we give it to him. But also other things that can, sugars, the amount of sugar or the amount of sodium, that we have to look at too. So reading the labels is important.
Yes, and don't be fooled by the words organic. Don't be fooled by some of the things that they'll put on the outside of the food packages. A lot of things there's a lot of loopholes when it comes to things getting through FDA and what kind of approval that they need. So they can be tricky in what they say. So definitely make sure like you're reading the fine lines in that, and that you're reading the whole label, not just the front where it says organic or it says, it has all kinds of things. Just make sure, it's certified, comes with with proteins. Like if you're using some type of supplement, a lot of those things are not FDA approved. And sometimes they'll put like certifications on there. Take a second, look it up, because some of those certifications don't really exist. Some of those companies don't really exist. And so they technically can do that legally without disclosing what all is in their product. So always just take a moment to Google if you're iffy about something or you're not sure where the source is actually coming from. Just take a moment, look it up, read the labels.
Yep, read the labels real quick, Google. And if you have extra questions, I know here at the Children's Hospital, we do have access to a nutritionist, a registered nutritionist. So you can definitely rely on them. But we did receive another question about exercise. And it reads, sickle cell disease pain crises can be triggered by overexertion. What are some examples of some low intensity exercises?
So some low intensity exercises, like I said, anything aquatic would be absolutely fantastic. If you ever have any access to the pool, just moving around, running around in the pool would be absolutely fantastic on the joints. Some other things that you can do, YouTube has a lot of resources available. So looking up Tai Chi is always a good thing. That's what a lot of my Parkinson's patients use, and they absolutely love it. Helps with balance. It helps with blood flow, helps them get good oxygen and blood flow throughout their body. And allows for them just to be really centered, as well as stretching out their joints, their muscles. So I highly recommend doing Tai Chi, whether it's virtual, whether you're looking at a YouTube channel or in person. Yoga is very good as well. Definitely helps with that range of motion. And if you want to take it up next level, you can do Pilates, add in some core. Pilates will definitely push you a little more, but it's very good. You can do some boxing. We do boxing at Brooks with patients. We just go in and they start boxing away, and it's very good. It helps them with balance. It allows for their cardio systems to start working. And there's a lot of seated exercises you can do. You can do sit to stands. You can do lunges. If you have weights at home and say you're having just not such a great day, there's a lot of things you can just do with some dumbbells. You can do bicep curls. You can do shoulder press, tricep extensions. You can do body weight squats. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do that are low intensity. You can always, if you need something a little more structured, there are some videos available. Once again, YouTube. I will look up low impact cardio videos, and they will give you just a list of cardio, but low impact, low intensity. And it's a great at home workout. I would say between like 30 minutes, 45 max, and I'll give you everything that you need.
And you say Google low intensity
low impact cardio videos.
Low impact cardio videos.
Yes. And you can, with technology these days, you can just live feed it to your TV and have at it in your living room.
All right. Some good information. All right.
And then I'll also check with your local hospitals and community centers. I know with Brooks, we actually we have a lot of people who do virtual classes. So I don't know where, depending on your location, if you have access to something like that. With Brooks, they do like Tai Chi, they do yoga, they have fitness instructors, they have one where she it's like a green screen and she like what's the word? She is projected out. And so it looks like she's there with you, and it's super cool, and y'all can exercise together. So it's really neat. There's a lot of resources out there. So I would just check your local community, local hospitals, local health organizations, and see what kind of virtual things that they have for you to do as far as exercise programs, low intensity programs, adaptive sports, stuff like that. That could be very helpful.
Okay. Okay. I think, well, that's all the questions. If anybody's listening, if you have any questions you want to ask Briana right now, now is your chance. She's shared some great information from the nutritional perspective. She spoke on macronutrients as well as micronutrients and the difference and examples of each, why they're important. She also, we transition over into exercise, how you can incorporate exercise in your routine or regimen, and it should be safely in order to, I know we've spoken in previous session about taking care of the whole self, taking care of the whole person. So a part of taking care of the whole person is making sure you're eating right and making sure you're moving and exercising. So good information. We had a comment from Visha saying, "Oh wow, that's great information." So um, we have Paulette saying, "Loving this." So thank you, Paulette, for listening. Thank you, Visha, for listening, and of course, thank you for giving hearts for always listening. Very good information. Um, Again, these are important pieces of that's important to us, to our children with sickle cell disease. But again, we, take the information we've learned tonight, and if you have follow-up questions, you can take it to your primary care physician or your specialist. Say, hey, how can I incorporate this? How can I incorporate this information into my child's um, care plan? And even just like we say, we want an individualized care plan. Your nutrition can be individualized. It's for you. Your exercise regimen could be for you. So everything should be specific for you and what your body can tolerate. We do have another question.
Okay.
Is it good to do a little bit of cardio before any type of exercise?
Yes. Cardio is a good way to warm up your body. It gets everything flowing and it will reduce the likelihood of you obtaining any type of injury, any type of muscle strain. So I do recommend doing some type of cardio, some type of warm up before starting any type of major exercise. A lot of times, especially in men, I see this all the time in the gym and it breaks my heart. You see men, they come in from outside of sitting down, not doing absolutely anything. They come in and they start doing squats or start doing dumbbell bicep curls, and it just breaks my heart. I'm like, you have to warm up your body. You have to start getting everything flowing first before you start lifting weights or before you start doing any type of intensive exercise. So even if that involves just going for a walk on a treadmill, doing a little jog, doing jumping jacks, getting on elliptical, on a new step, a bike, any type of just kind of gradual cardio activity that increases your heart rate. You should be breathing a little heavily before you start any type of exercise. And kind of going off that reminded me, this is the importance of exercise in general for everyone, not just those with sickle cell, is that it prevents a lot of different chronic illnesses. Exercising can help prevent strokes. Exercises can help with diabetes, especially those with type 2 diabetes. Exercise actually helps that insulin resistance. So exercise, acute bouts of exercise actually for a small time has the same effect as your insulin does. So that's just something that it's important to remember. We've been studying in class that exercise is medicine, and that's actually like a different area of study where you start focusing on how exercise can actually start to overtake certain medications, because we live in a time where the first thing they want to do is put you on a medication. They want to write your prescription. But a lot of things can be prevented, or can be, a lot of symptoms can be helped with exercising. So Make sure it's really important to implement that into your lifestyle, even if it's just one day at a time. Just get an accountability partner. Try to start a contest with your child or with your partner. Make it fun. Like, just do something that will help you stay on top of each other with your exercise regimen.
Okay. This is a lot of good information. And for those of you who may have caught us on the tail end, make sure you start it all over once we're done and listen to the whole information. Again, the information we're sharing and Briana is sharing today is for your educational purposes only. And it's a tool. It's a tool that you can take back to your care provider, healthcare provider, and ask, how can this help me? So and some things you just know you have to eat right, and you have to keep moving, and I have to take that to heart as well. So Briana, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap it up for tonight?
No, I just want to remind everyone to take everything one day at a time, to just try to set goals for yourself. Start with very obtainable goals. It may be, okay, I'm going to cook 3 times a night, or not 3 times a night, 3 times a week, or I'm only going to allow for myself and my child to eat out only on the weekend or only twice a week. Start setting goals for yourself, even if it's with physical activity. I'm going to start walking for 30 minutes twice a week. Start small and work your way, or even just, okay, when I go to work, instead of taking an elevator, I'm going to take the stairs today. So just something small. It doesn't have to be a large goal. You don't have to go join a gym membership this week. It can just be something simple. When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to drink a glass of water before I drink my coffee, or I'm going to eat some fruit rather than go get a donut. Just small things that you can do. But it's important to start today.
All right. You guys have heard it. It's important to start today. So again, thank you, Briana, for agreeing to be on with our Tuesday chat. We will reach out to you again in the future. Good luck on your future endeavors.
Thank you.
And everybody who's listening, thank you for listening. Again, those on the replay listening, if you have a question or a comment, please leave them in the chat, and I'll make sure Briana sees them. But again, thank you for joining us for another Tuesday chat. And we'll see you again this coming Tuesday for a different topic. And this is September, Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And that's why we want to be consistent with our message that we're sharing. One more comment, great tips for small steps. Yeah, that was really good. So have a great evening, everybody. And we'll see you next time.